Welcome back to Irons United for our millionth attempt at giving you a preview for the night. Let us know if the audio is working. We are trying something new tonight, so we're unsure if this is going through to you and you can hear us perfectly or not. Richard, do you want to say hi to everyone so we can just test your audio?
Hi everybody, can you hear me? Is it better this time? Hopefully. Let's see. Please work.
I think we are in, guys, so if you can just let us know. This seems to be working. I'm just asking if someone can come and let us know.
Hopefully my audio is sorted.
It does seem
We'll just have
to
to
be
see.
better, I think.
Let's pray. Take 570.
Seems to be, hopefully. While we're waiting on people coming in to let us know, welcome back to Irons United for our live preview for the season. This is our first live preview actually we've done. We came to you live quite a lot last year. We've not had a chance to really do it over the summer. Richard, how are you? Are you well?
Yeah, mate, I'm all
Yes,
good.
good.
Can't
Thank you very
complain.
much.
Yourself?
Obviously, we had a tough start to the season against Manchester City. It wasn't great. What did you say? 4th, 5th, 6th season in a row we've had a team from the top 5 or 6. Did you expect better?
Yeah. Definitely. Firstly, I think we've been tremendously unlucky with the opening day fixtures, but in saying that, I really backed our squad and starting 11 to put up more of a fight. I know we're playing the champions and they're a class team, but I think to get turned over 5-0 was really disappointing, and I'm just glad it's out the way, and I'm hoping for a positive display against Brighton on Saturday. Hopefully we can
Up
bounce back.
next, we face Graham Potter's Brighton Hove Albion. We travel to the south coast, to the Amex Stadium, and that man Glenn Murray and his team is await West Ham for our second fixture. I mean, they potentially had a tough fixture to start with, but they certainly surprised the Premier League. What were your thoughts on their result against Watford?
Well, very unexpected. I think not many fans gave them a chance going to Vicarage Road, a place that was very, very difficult to visit last season. Watford had a fantastic season, got to the final of the FA Cup, obviously, finished just outside the top 10. But credit to Graham Potter and Brighton, what a fantastic start to the season. To go there, keep a clean sheet and score 3 is probably the perfect display. And they're going to be full of confidence at the Amex, and they're going to be up for the fight. So we need to show some fight. Otherwise, as we've seen in previous seasons, if they are up for it more than us, they'll turn us over on the day.
Today, listen, do you know what? Maybe we won't talk about West Ham yet. We always tend to do this in a more structured manner. So let's talk about Brighton in particular. What has your thoughts been on Brighton's transfer business? Is there any particular players that we should be looking out for? Give us a little bit of a rundown on your knowledge of Brighton.
They haven't done amazingly in the transfer window. I don't really know any massive signings that they've made to really bolster their squad. I think they've probably done some underhand dealing, not underhand dealings, but like low-key signings. We know their threats. Glenn Murray up top has just been a thorn, a dagger in the sides of us for season upon season. He just loves scoring against us. Obviously, they've lost Anthony Knockout to Fulham, which is a really, really strange deal in my opinion. I honestly thought that he brought them so much going forward. But they've got Locadia, who's the number 9 for them. He played just behind Glenn Murray. They've got Solly March that offers a threat. In midfield, Pascal Gross is a really good player. Dale Stevens is decent in the middle. So I think we're going to have our hands full. And obviously, at the back, they've got Duncan Duffy, who are just monsters. And I think Allaire, if he does start, fingers crossed, he's going to have his hands full to try and get any goals.
Do me a favour, guys, when you're watching this, we are live. Get your comments in below. We'll try and answer some questions at the end. We are going to keep this short and sweet because we have spent the last bloody 2 hours trying to get this stream to you. But yeah, get your comments in below.
Mate, I haven't mentioned.
That was the next player I was just about to bring up. So he scored against Watford. What can you say about him, Rich?
Well, I know that he's a French attacker. I know that he really tore up the championship last season. He's a really, really exciting player.
Yeah,
He's still a youngster as well. I couldn't believe it. I think
yeah.
he's, what, 23, 24. And yeah, he took his goal really, really well coming off the bench. And I think he offers a threat for them. He
Yeah.
might even start. Who knows? So I think we're not really sure. I don't think Manuel Pellegrini's really, really sure what side Potter's going to put out on Saturday. He's got a couple
I'm
options
looking
now.
at an interesting stat here. Do you know the last time West Ham beat Brighton was actually in 2012 whilst we were playing them in the Championship? They've actually become a bit of a bogey team since we've been in the Premier League. The last game we played
Definitely.
them was 2 each at home with a brace from Marko Arnautovic, and Dale Stephens and Shane Duffy got the goals for Brighton, and then obviously the game we played them at the start of the season, I think it was nearly October 2018 when they beat us 1-0 and beat us at this at home.
Yeah.
I mean, we really struggle against Brighton in the Premier League. What is it about teams like Brighton that we struggle against, Rich?
It's simple, mate. It's complacency. That's the only thing I can think of. I honestly believe that we end up going to Brighton or playing Brighton at home, believing before the game that we're going to turn them over. And you cannot, for a second, have that mentality in the Premier League, because on any given day, as we've seen, any Premier League side can beat any other Premier League side. So if you're not up for it and you go in a bit complacent, there's every chance you could get done. And we've been on the backhand of a couple of disappointing results against them. I think we've lost 3 of our last 4 against them and got a draw, which is that's not good enough for a side that's aiming for the top 7-8. So hopefully that changes on Saturday, and I think that'll be a big gauge for the season. If we can get a result on Saturday, maybe it shows we've turned a little bit of a corner.
I mean, Brighton themselves went through some big changes last year. They got rid of Chris Hughton, which for me personally was a bit of a shock. I certainly didn't expect that, and I certainly didn't think they would move on and move forward. But do we get carried away from the first result of the season? There's a lot of people, when you look at a lot of the kind of conversations about the start of the season, like there's fans panicking about West Ham because we've been beaten 5-0 by the champions who've spent a fortune, who are levels above everyone else. People are getting carried away by Brighton beating Watford 3-0. Is there kind of like a knock-on effect from pre-season? Is the first game a kind of pre-season but competitive, the first real competitive pre-season game? Am I looking at that in the wrong way, or do we start really judging us by the time we get to the second and third game of the season?
Well, I mean, I've changed over the years. I always used to think that the first game was kind of a free hit for most teams, and you do see some crazy results. In saying that, we've had a whole pre-season to prepare. You want to see your side giving their all and putting in a solid performance on the opening day. I don't think there's that much room for excuse. At the same time, though, I'm not taking too much from that City game. Sure, they've turned us over, but it's the first game. It's out the way. I'm going to really start judging the side after a couple games where I can get a better gauge of where we're at, because I think it's way too early. I mean, it would be pointless of us to start making assumptions based on one game. I don't think that would be fair for anyone, really.
I mean, a lot of people are talking about players like Glenn Murray, who's got a great record against West Ham. He's that. I mean, West Ham seem to have these players all over the country that just step up and always score a goal against us, which is unfortunate. And a lot of people are saying that we might see him start on the bench. But I mean, he started last week against Watford, and he is for whatever, is he 36 years old? He does a job, mate. He absolutely does a job. And whether he's on the bench or not, but personally, I think he'll probably start, because Brighton know that he can, step up and score a goal against West Ham, and
it would be silly. It would be silly for Graham Potter not to start him. He's got a fantastic record. He just loves playing against us. It would really be stupid for him not to play him. At Palace, he scored against us. I think even at Bournemouth, he's played and scored against us. So, yeah, he's just a thorn that I think most of our centre-backs want to forget. And it's interesting because he doesn't seem like the most technically gifted player, but he, as you said, he gets the job done. He's a nuisance for defenders.
And Brighton, obviously, I mean, they compact and build from the back. They ram their defence. They get a kind of solid midfield line, play the one up the top. How do you think you can see them kind of setting up for the game against West Ham?
Well, I think they've got a really good spine through the middle of their side. Obviously, their two centre backs are going to come on from the back. Stevens and Pascal Gross are going to be solid in the middle. I think it's going to be a really
Yeah,
interesting midfield battle. Hopefully, Deckers and Jack put in a good performance. I think the midfield's going to be
yeah.
where it's won and lost on Saturday. And obviously, I think they're going to try to be as compact as possible. They're going to try and get off to a fast start. And I think it's going to suit us to maybe just sit in and absorb a bit of pressure and play a good counter-attacking game, because that's where we've been successful in the past away from home. So, yeah, it'll be really, really fascinating to see, especially the Ale Duncan Duffy battle. I really hope that Seb's fit.
Let's get on to our beloved West Ham, Richard. And today, Pellegrini done a news conference and announced that, which sent the West Ham fans into crazy overdrive. But I think a lot of fans failed to read or listen to what Pellegrini said. He said Sebastian Haller and Felipe Anderson may miss the game on Saturday. Now, he's not said that they will, but I suppose there's an element of, does that suit Pellegrini not to give too much away to the fans? I mean, for me personally, I look at that and I read that statement and I go, Pellegrini's at it a little bit. He's sending crazy vibes. He's letting Brighton set up as if Chicharito's going to start or Ajeti's going to start, and they're not going to come with our big centre forward. We're going to miss the pacey man on the wing, so we're going to set up differently in the midfield. And Brighton are going to kind of prepare the week for that, and maybe I'm reading into this too much and trying to think it's.
I hope so. I certainly hope so. That would be fantastic. Deep down, I believe Ale will play. I just feel like he'll play. I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean, he did. There was a challenge for City's fourth goal, I think, on the weekend where Ale got taken out, and he seemed to be moving all right after that. So perhaps it is mind games. If it is, I hope it pays off. But yeah, at the end of the day, we are much better side with Ale in the team. So I really hope he's fit.
I mean,
fingers crossed.
It's really tough to say what I'm about to say. I was going to say, how much would we miss a player like Sebastian Haller especially after. I mean, nobody played really well in the weekend against Man City, but you're Pellegrini.
Yeah.
You've got your opportunity to really kickstart your season now. West Ham really can't afford to have another season where we lose the first 3 or 4 games of the season. In actual fact, in my opinion, I don't think we can really afford. It's not about affording to lose the second game. I'm not going to go into panic or overdrive if we do lose this second game yet. I would never do that for any season. It's just not a great start. And in particular, you kind of expect it against Man City, which annoys me because they've bought their way to their success. And you know, then up steps Brighton, and on paper, and with respect to Brighton fans, we do look like the better side. We do. You have to say that on paper. You do.
Yeah.
Now, but the game's not won on paper.
Sure.
It's won on the field and the battle and the determination and the fight and the drive, etc. So Pellegrini's going to set up and you know. What's your thoughts? I mean, Jack Wilshere came off. Do you think that was more precautionary than anything?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was just a case of a contact challenge, maybe a dead leg is what I was hearing. But as far as I know, he's good to go for Saturday. And I mean, he's just posted an Instagram photo, if that's anything to go by, saying that he can't wait for the game on Saturday. So I reckon he's in good shape to start and hopefully get his first West Ham goal, man.
Absolutely.
Come on, let's be positive.
Absolutely. So we're going to keep this kind of short and sweet because we have spent a long time trying to get on. We now know that we can get on live. We know we can do all this stuff with the new system we've got up and running. With regards to our lineup, Richard, I mean, what will Pellegrini do away from home at the Amex? It's going to be a tough ground, tough team. There's no ifs or buts about it. They're going to play rough, play a bit dirty, coming up against 40 million strikers, 40 million midfielders, players that are linked to 60 million moves to Manchester United. Teams like Brighton are going to come at West Ham and really force us to play. Is it going to be the ticky-tack football that Pellegrini wants to do that's going to try and get us through this game?
I think so. I don't think he's going to change too much from the City game. Sure, they tore us apart, but I think he's got a decent idea of
Does
what
that include
he wants to put
Antonio?
out. and I think so. I saw Fornals against City, and I just think his fitness wasn't quite at the level that he wanted to be. And I wouldn't rush him in. If he is struggling for fitness, just give him a bit of extra time. Bring
On
him on off the bench. In saying that, if he is fit,
and on the flip
Fornals for me
side to
has to
that, though,
start.
Richard, if you think about the Atletico Bilbao game, now yes, okay, it's a friendly, but there was definitely periods in that game that you thought Fornals was probably the fittest he has been, alongside Lanzini, alongside Anderson, alongside Wilshere. So there was a possibly,
Maybe I'm
but
being
I don't know
harsh.
if there's maybe an element that Pellegrini was. Did he? I'm not saying he forfeited that game, but is he thinking that we'll try and give something to the game, and if nothing happens, we'll protect our team and start the season from the second game onwards? I'm not saying he's going in with that mentality, but if he's saving his best players and pulling off Wilshere to protect him, and just has that kind of feeling about it, to be honest.
That's fair enough. I think most managers know that City are going to turn most teams over this season. So I think Pellegrini, deep down, is just glad that, or touch wood, we've got through that game without injuries. But obviously now we've heard about Anderson and Allaire. So yeah, maybe it's come at a cost. But I don't think he'll change too much, to be honest with you, Ant. I think he's going to keep the side very similar to the one we saw against City. Personally, I'd love for Masuaku to come in ahead of Cresswell. I just don't see how we going to be compact enough with him at left back, and I don't understand how he ever got the West Ham armband. That's just my opinion. I just compare him to past West Ham captains that we've had, and for me, it just doesn't come near fitting the bill. So hopefully Masuaku comes back in at left back and offers us some pace, because Brighton's wingers could cause us problems if Cresswell is at left back. So yeah, I think there'll be maybe one or two changes max.
I think personally that as long as the players are fit that we've announced today that may not be fit, then the couple of changes we'll see will be Fornals coming for Antonio. And it's not that I dislike Antonio, etc., but I do think that this year, if players are fit, the style of play that Pellegrini is going to look out for is that that creativity all over that midfield area, and it's going to be hopefully exciting football that we're going to see. So that's kind of exciting, but that's what I want to see. But I want to see that when all our players are fully fit. So if Anderson isn't fit and doesn't play, and if Haller isn't fit and doesn't play, does that mean we're going to see Chicharito or Ajeti? And what does that mean for our side? Does that mean playing a player like Chicharito or Ajeti up top and don't play to their strengths? And that's the part that really frustrates me as a West Ham fan, because we've got all these sort of players there, and we play to the strengths of Sebastian Haller, and then you replace him with a total polar opposite to that player and don't play to that player's strengths. And it's just the unfortunate side of being a West Ham fan, because we never have relevant.
Yeah, sometimes we get stuck in a system of playing. Obviously, worst case scenario would be if Chicharito had to start, which I really hope and pray isn't the case. If he does start, we got to look to try and play it into his feet. Look to get him in behind, perhaps let him exploit any spaces there might be in Brighton's back four, because maybe obviously aerially he doesn't offer much of a threat, but he's that nitty-gritty striker that could perhaps get on the end of a bouncing ball in the box. But I'm hoping and praying it doesn't have to come down to that.
In Pellegrini's switch up of formations, and he comes up against Brighton, and with his main target man potentially injured, does that switch up to give him the opportunity to go 4-4-2 and bring in Chicharito and Ajeti together? Is that an option?
Yeah, it does. It's definitely an option. It's a system that he has employed before. We've seen him play the likes of Negredo and Aguero together. Dzeko played with Aguero up top, Balotelli. So he does every now and then not mind playing two up front, but it's definitely not a style that he's seen for West Ham. I think he's got his sights set on playing a target man like on Arnautovic last season, and let players feed off of him.
So it'll be an interesting team selection depending on players' injuries, etc. Mark Noble's not going to be fit for the game. He's working his way back to fitness, so he must have picked up quite a bad injury. So he's getting closer. Do we miss? The debate continues. The debate is always going to continue. what I will say is I'm probably past the debate now, because I think Mark Noble's done enough for me as a West Ham fan to give him just so much respect now. As a West Ham player, whether he has a bad game or a good game, he still gives enough for him to deserve starts. Maybe not starting every game, but starts in the league.
Yeah.
But do we miss that grit, determination? I mean, you've got to think about sometimes some of the games where he did play well. Did those games that he played well outweigh the ones that he didn't?
I think so. I think last season he put in some really, really good performances. I must be honest. Of course, when you've got Declan Rice and Jack Wilshere, it's hard to find a spot for Mark Noble. But I think we could have done with him on the opening day. We could have done with him as a leader. I don't think people actually understand how important a captain is in the side. I just don't see how. I can't comment because I don't know how Cresswell is behind closed doors and how he is with the players. But I just can't see Cresswell being the type of character to shit on someone that's made a mistake or call someone out and say, "Come on, lads, like what's going on here?" I feel like he's just a bit too nice. You need someone like a Billy Bonds back in the day, that's going to push up against the wall and get everyone into gear. So I think he'll play. I think he'll start probably a third to half of our games, and then the rest will just be coming on for the last 10 to 15 minutes to really just shore up our midfield and defence to make sure we get results. But there's definitely still a spot in the side for him. 100%. He's such an asset
now.
still.
Ben Johnson was mentioned. What's your thoughts on Ben Johnson? I mean, for me, I'm just like, why not? That's where I'm at, because a youth player who's been able to show you that he can stand it in the Premier League, and I just like that idea of throwing them in slightly. I don't even know if it's a deep end anymore. Giving them as many it's just. I think I mentioned this in the videos before, where you look at the young goalkeepers around the world, and particularly in Italy, and you look at like the AC Milan goalkeeper, the Italian goalkeeper, like they are about 120 games into their career, and they're only 18,
They're young,
and we don't see that a lot in England. And I get that the money takes over, etc. But when you've got a player that has that ability, like Ben Johnson is showing, and West Ham are struggling in those positions, why not just give him that shot? Maybe didn't play him against Man City because it was Man City, and maybe it sounds like we're sorry, go.
No problem. I think he's a fantastic talent, and he's definitely someone that I want to see get a chance this season in more games. I want to see him get a chance in as many games as possible. I don't want him to just be a player that kind of makes 2 or 3 appearances. I want to see him play 10 or 15 games. And at the same time, though, I want to see Ryan Fredericks have a good season, because I still feel like he can be a real asset for us as well. Unfortunately, we have seen the bad side with the injuries that he suffered, but the pace that he brings on the right-hand side, and I honestly think he's a pretty solid defensive player at right back, because obviously we've got really attack-minded wing backs, but Fredericks can do both. I've seen him make some fantastic challenges last season. I've seen him get assists and score goals. So a part of me really wants Johnson to get a chance, because he's a fantastic talent, and I think he's got a bright future at the club. But I also want Fredericks to put some games together and have a solid season, because I really like the look of him as well, and I think he's a great character around the side.
Excellent. Right, let's get straight on to some team selection for West Ham. Fabianski we know, Diop, Balbuena we know, right back, left back.
Yeah. Fredericks, Masuaku.
Yep.
For
what
me.
Do you think Pellegrini will do?
Yeah.
It's this Cresswell captaincy that's.
I think, it's the Cresswell captaincy. What I think might happen is, and this is a big call, I think Noble might come straight back.
I don't know if he's making this game, mate. I don't think he's making this game. No.
You reckon? Because I just don't know what Pellegrini sees in Cresswell as a captain. I can't see it. If Noble's not ready, then I think Cresswell starts, and it's probably for the captaincy, which is a strange one. I think personally, I think Pellegrini will stick with Cresswell, which will disappoint me, because I honestly think he's missing a trick there by not playing Masuaku. I think he'll go with Cresswell personally, and then Fredericks right back.
Are we playing with midfield team selections based upon Anderson making it. Yeah, I'm going to go with Anderson making it. So is the midfield literally going to? Is the midfield going to look like what it looked like against Man City?
I think so. I think you'll see Deckers and Jack and Manu Lanzini, Antonio.
And that's
Anderson,
where I disagree. I think we'll not see Antonio. I think we'll see Fornals. I think
you reckon Fornals?
Yeah.
Actually,
I
I
think
agree.
We'll get the full attack mode. And if
but then where does he play? Where does he play though? Because you can't play Fornals out wide. He doesn't have enough pace about him. He has to be playing through the middle. So then who pushes out? I think he is going
to have to play it wide. To be honest, I don't think there's any other option. I think.
I worry about that.
But the only thing I'm basing it on is, Pellegrini gives these players, and these sort of players that we're talking about, albeit, well, no, I was going to say it, even including Anderson, all the players we're mentioning, all except Declan Rice, kind of have a free role. They all cut inside, they all drift, they all go out wide, they all cut in, they all cross, they all are in the box. It's just, these are the sort of players that I don't think Pellegrini says to Fornals, right, you're playing on the right wing, you're staying on the right wing, that's it. That's where you to stay, because that doesn't suit Fornals' style. He doesn't say to Wilshere, this and that. Wilshere goes where the ball is to create. So if he has to drop back, he drops back. If he goes forward, he goes forward. If he goes out wide, he goes out wide. The player comes in and covers. Lanzini's exactly the same. We've seen Anderson do it left, right and centre. He attacks the wing, but he also attacks through the middle. So he is going for that style of play, and I think that he will just say to Fornals, this is your position, just to get you on the park. Float, and they'll all float as long as they can cover, as long as there's that cover and mentality.
As long as there's still structure.
You've got to look at the Arsenal side of the past, where they did have that ticky-tacky football, and maybe there was that diamond, player passed the ball, then the player would run to find space, he'd pass the ball again, and then the midfielder would slip in. And as long as they have that communication and do that, left, right and centre, then I'd fingers crossed, like it can look positive, but we'll see. Up front, if he's fit, obviously Seb Holler. If he's not fit, then one midfielder will probably have to drop, and we'll probably look at potentially two up top. I'll be interested to see. It's a formation that Pellegrini has done before.
Yeah, it will be interesting for sure. I mean, there's so many different permutations. So I think we're just hoping that we have a fully fit 11.
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Before we do our predictions, get your predictions in below and let us know your thoughts on what we've said today. Sorry for the mix-up at the start. It's a little bit unorganised, but we'll get better. Don't worry as the season goes along. Richard, predictions for Brighton on Saturday?
I'm going to go 3-1. I think we'll concede, and it'll probably be Glenn Murray again. But I think there's enough in our side to go and get a result, and I think Pellegrini recognises that the fans want to see an improvement. We've spent good money again. We've brought in some really top players, and this is a game, I hate to say it, but that we have to be winning if we want to be successful this season.
I will go for a 2-0 victory to West Ham. I'm going to go that we're going to make a big difference at the back. Pellegrini has noticed that. I know lots of fans have said we're going out all attack and we're going to have to score more than we concede, but I think there's going to be that element of importance to really not try and not concede. It's going to be tough because Brighton are going to be up for it, but I really do think that if this is all determined on, and even if players aren't fit, and Pellegrini adopts the style and changes the formation to suit the team we've got, still think we're pretty confident that we can walk away with 2-0 victory. Not that I am taking away anything from a Brighton team that smashed Watford 3-0, because Watford are a tough team and Brighton.
And that they even have Aaron Moy on their bench, who they signed from Huddersfield. I clean forgot about him as well. So I mean, there's options there.
You've gone for a 3-1 victory. I've gone for a 2-0 victory to West Ham. Listen, all we ask for is just to get behind our side, and let's not get carried away from the first game of the season, from the terrible defeat. Anyway, again, just to say, apologies for the start of this stream. Bit of a nightmare, but we got there eventually, Richard. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you get the comments in, follow our partners at Umbro. We'll be announcing the first winner of the new season's top this week on the social media account, so keep an eye on that, and we'll be launching our new competition, which is going to be for the new season's away top, so keep an eye on all them. Anyway, Richard, anything you want to say?
No, just let's go to Brighton. Safe travels to all the fans, and hopefully we can come back with all 3 points.
I've been Anton, he's been Richard. Come on, you Irons.